Hi, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me and having this opportunity. Thank you, John and Sally and the committee. I'm incredibly here again. I was here in last November, and right after I think today is a different mood because last time it was right after the election day, so it was a rough time. I want to talk about today. I mean, since we don't have much time, I just want to say that I'm an architect and urban designer. I went to Colombia for my master's. I stayed in New York for 4 years, and then I went back. I was there with my partner, who is actually here, Armando Hashimoto, and we built together a private office in architecture and urbanism, and we just been doing like different type of work, from design exhibition to houses in institutions, interiors, and also like urban design projects. And we also been really close to academia. We've been teaching for 11 years, and we are always interested in trying to push further the way that teaching is done in Mexico. And this is right what I would like to talk about this today, because in 2013, I was invited to be part of the Infonavit, to work in Infonavit, which is the National Institute for Housing Workers Fund. It's I'm going to give a little bit of context really quick because I don't have time, and then just explain what I was doing there. Mexico, it's around 785. Well, you can see the numbers. And for those that you don't know, Mexico is right below the States. And we've been geographically, and we've been lately in the agenda since last November, I think, a little bit before, and in the American agenda. And this is like the way the population is, just to have a rough idea of how this is organized. And then Infonavit is the largest mortgage lender in the world based on the size of its portfolio and its origination level. 70% of all mortgage loans in the country comes from Infonavit. 1 of every 4 houses, Mexican families live in one of these houses. But also, for you to know, 70% of the housing is informal. So Infonavit works with the formal houses. So this is the 70% of that, 70%. And this is just for like the financing people, if we have some here. And then in average, for the last decade, Infonavit has giving 5,000 credits a year. And Infonavit began in the 70s with really good projects, being a market creator in both constructing and financing houses. And I mean, I'm just showing this picture because it's amazing that they even have for social housing a lake that they design. It's not natural lake, so they really put a lot of money and design in this project. But during the 90s, Infonavit stopped constructing because the Infonavit was incapable of producing all the houses that were in need, and transformed into a social mortgage lender. And the quality of the houses began to change during the last decade. Fighting the housing deficit, it was the developers who were in charge of the construction process in a massive way. So I'm sure that you've seen a lot of these landscapes, and this is very common in the outskirts of the cities in Mexico and in Latin America, of course. In 2013, with the change of the presidential administration, and this is the year that I was invited to work for Infonavit as an employee. Yeah. They were trying to do a shift on the way the production of houses were doing before, and they were trying to focus on improve the quality of life of the people who live in these houses. But it's really, I mean, somebody told me at Infonavit that Infonavit is like this huge transatlantic, that if you were to turn to change the road, I mean, you need to push 1 centimeter, and then at the end of like 10 years, maybe it will change, right? So it's really a tough work. According with INEGI, which is the National Geostatistic Institute, there are 5 million uninhabited dwellings in Mexico, and we have a deficit of 9 million houses in the country. This is what happened after, like, in the last decades, we have a lot of abandoned houses. And I'm showing this, I mean, here before, they said that this is only 3% of the total loan of the portfolio that is abandoned. So I understand that for financial people, this is normal. This is the way that, I mean, actually it's a good number. But since I was invited to deal with this is mainly what when I arrived to Infonavit, they showed me and they said, well, we have to do something about this situation. And there is people living there. So even if it's 3%, there are thousands of people living in these conditions. So what I tried to do, I was in charge of the urban development area that was created for me, basically. I mean, I was there to create the area. And in this huge institution where architects and urban designers were not working there since the 70s and 80s, it was a big challenge for me. I tried to work in 2 different lines of action. One, trying to solve the most everyday political times. Like, you have to give results like in a daily basis. And in another way, understanding that social issues and urban design issues take a lot of time. So I divided in a way into analysis and strategy, and also like the programs and the projects that we have to implement right away. And I was really interested in this part that they said that I was trying to create a feedback circle, because I had that opportunity at Infonavit, which is, I think it's really, I don't know if to say unique, but it's really something that you can try to do research and then test it in the field, and then go back and rethink your research. I'm showing this, I'm sure that in this institution, just to show some books is nothing, but in Mexico, in a financial institution, to show that we really set up a way to do formal research in the field, and also and end with a book that we can deliver and show and share, is something really important in this context. So we create a Housing Deterioration Index in order to be able to measure things and try to prove that to check if the interventions that we were doing were working or not, because before nobody was checking or taking into account the process. This is some of the programs that we were working on as a team, and they were developed in my area. Pintemos Mexico is a really fast program. It's like all of these programs, there were really, Pintemos Mexico is a really fast program. We do it in 2 months, but it's a way to begin having the community interested in these issues, and then to try to do a longer work or project that it's an urban renewal, because normally what happens in these settlements is that people just care about their security, not even about their homes, and then the rest of the environment is really it's like land of nobody. That's I don't know, tierra de nadie. And at the end, I have like this huge situation of trying to deal with the abandonment houses. So the program in the middle is more to prevent for getting houses abandoned, and the last one is what to do with all these houses. And we did an assessment. We tried to also, we were convinced that the community participation was fundamental, and we were, trying to bring community in all the process that we were doing. This is some of the examples, and the thing with these projects is that the community have to participate in the process. So they were painting with the artists that we hired, and we also had help. I mean, we have the help of community-based organizations that help us, because we are just architects, you know. And just to show you some of the projects, I mean, the photos on the left are going to be like what these settlements are, like these people are used to have their public spaces, and the projects that we invite also architects, like really like the best architects in Mexico to participate in this program, because we are convinced also that good design has to be implemented in these places. So these are, I mean, these people are used to have these type of parks, and we try to change that. I mean, like the people at the Infonavit, they say, why people don't care about their spaces? Why people don't care about their houses? Well, I think it's obvious. Like, I mean, they don't have really a public space. They don't have really a good neighborhood. And this is one of the projects that one of the 36 areas that we were researching in order to get to know the problem of abandoned housing. And this is just more than 10% of the houses are abandoned. The red dots are the houses that are abandoned. So just living in between is really a nightmare. This is Mexicali, which is in the border to the States. It's in the border with Calexico. I don't know if you know this city, but it's a small city. And this is the area that we were studying. I mean, it's really outside of the city. We did these 36 diagnoses in 36 developments that we went site survey, and also talking to people. And we were around, I mean, it's around 250,000 houses. And I'm going to skip this one, but this is a general diagram just to show you how we work. We have like Infonavit, and we were in partners with an NGO, because we also discovered that if we go with the community directly, since the people doesn't trust institutions anymore, it couldn't, I mean, it won't work. So we work with these NGOs, and we also bring as many stakeholders as possible to participate in the process. And this NGO was in the same, I mean, the whole time that we were working in the site, and since before also, because they are like a white brand. I don't know if you say like that in here, but they are really like neutral, and people trust them, and they can work really well with the community. And we try to bring governors, mayors, private sector NGOs, and the neighborhood associations. And there are some we're still thinking, I mean, what is the best way to do the participation process, but we have like these points where we were really talking to each other in terms of community, and while the architect was going away to develop the project, the community were trying to build projects in order to engage the community, and in order to strengthen the community. And we did a site analysis together with the community. We did project prioritization with the community, and we were showing the project with them the whole time. And at the end, we have to have an agreement, which is very important for the municipality to keep working with the community, and for the community to get a commitment, because we are also convinced that the government can't deal with these issues alone. I mean, we cannot just sit and expect that the government is going to bring us everything. I mean, this is not going to happen. And but we can help them to have a real communication between the community and the government. Since I'm talking like that because Infonavit is an independent, in a way, independent institution. So in a way, we were not the state in this process. It was like the major, and also because all the regulations are made by the local authority, and we were kind of federal, but not that federal. And at the end, we did also one important thing. I'm not at the end. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you that the lessons that we learned, that the community participation throughout all the process is really fundamental. The more the community is involved in the process, greater will be the commitment, and to guarantee not just the participation on the process, but the lasting of the permanency of the project itself during time. And architects and urban designers' participation are fundamental, like bringing well-known, in terms of, good architects and good designers. And also site-specific projects is something that is fundamental. We cannot just replicate as we've been doing in the past. Construction quality is fundamental, and institutional leadership. And just the questions that I have, that I am bringing here for my year, is that can we help in the process of empowering communities as architects and urban designers? Can we include all these other fundamental issues into our discussion, like health, food, capacity building, for community capacity building, and also institutional capacity building, like happens in Mexico? And if it's possible, like in terms of Infonavit measures, my programs impact around 500,000 people, but I would like to find a way to really have an impact on 5 million people. Thank you.